Hey guys, I hope you're having a good week this week. If you have your Bible, take it and turn to Genesis chapter 4. And today we're going to look specifically at the very first children on the earth. Their names were Cain and Abel. Now, if you're anything like me growing up, most of you probably have siblings, and you know that sometimes you get along with your siblings, sometimes you don't get along with your siblings, and sometimes it's kind of middle ground, right? Sometimes you do. It's just all over the place. In this specific story, we see the tale of two different siblings doing two different things and getting two different results. And so even in the very first book of the Bible, in Genesis, we see that the people would bring offerings and present them to the Lord out of gratitude for his provisions and for what he had done for them and what he had given them. It was almost as if they would bring these offerings to him in return, because they knew that they didn't do it on their own, that they didn't get those things by themselves, working harder, trying to conjure it up for themselves, that they brought offerings to the Lord because they recognized that God provided for them. It's a word that we like to call stewardship, right? Because God has given us these things, we are stewards of the earth, of the things, of the materials that we have, and we give those things and we honor God with those things, with how we specifically use it. So Genesis chapter 4 says this: the man was intimate with his wife Eve, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain. And she said, I have had a male child with the Lord's help. So she also gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel became a shepherd of flocks, but Cain worked the ground. And in the course of time, Cain presented some of the land's produce as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also presented an offering, some of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but he did not have regard for Cain and his offering. And Cain was furious, and he looked despondent. Now, if you stop right there, what you'll find is God accepted Abel's, did not accept Cain's. And you can look through any different other books that talk about this story, and you'll find a list of explanations. And the Bible is not up front. It's not directly clear of why one was accepted versus why the other one was not. But what we do see is, through the context, we can clearly see what God was trying to get at by accepting Abel's and not accepting Cain's. You see, Cain he worked the land, he had crops, he had veggies, he had fruits, he had all that good stuff, and he presented those to the Lord. But what we find out is that he didn't present the first fruits. He didn't present the best of the crops that he had. He was kind of saying, I'm going to take the best for myself, and I'm going to give the leftovers to God. Whereas on the other hand, Abel, he was a herdsman, right? He had all the different animals. He was a shepherd of some sort. And so he brought the best animal, the unblemished animal, the best looking animal, the most fit animal, and he presented it to God and said, God, this is the best that I have, and I am giving that back to you. So what we see here is it's not about what they gave, produce versus an animal. That's not why it was accepted or rejected. But what we see is that Abel's was accepted, all because of the posture of his heart. Cain's was rejected because he was giving God his leftovers. He was giving God basically whatever else was left in his heart and his life. And so while we're not, taking animals or produce and laying on an altar and sacrificing to God, in today's day and time, we do take our money, right? Once we start making money one day, some of you students watching, we do take our skills and we serve other people. We do take our talents that God has given us in our job and we work hard at it and not just give, half effort. We try to give full effort. There's all different types of modern day correlations to this story. But regardless of what that is, whether it's how much you give, whether it's how much you serve, whether it's how much you're plugged in your local church, whether it's are you doing well in the classroom, are you doing well at work, all of those things matter. But the question that we have to stop and ask ourselves is, are we giving God our best, or are we giving God our leftovers? Very, very convicting question, because there's times in everybody's life where if we're honest with ourselves, we'll have to stop and say, you know what? I haven't been giving God my best. I've been giving God my leftover time. I've been giving God my secondary money. I've been giving God my secondary talents, and I'm not being a good steward of what God has so preciously entrusted me with. So stop right now, take a moment and ask yourself and do a little reflection and think to yourself, have I been a good steward of what God is giving me? And I want you to brainstorm a couple of different things that you can do right now over the next week to where you can help remind yourself, or maybe just very practical, of what you can actually do this week to help be a better steward of what God has given you and to give God your best in every area of your life. I want you to FaceTime somebody, talk to somebody, text them, call them, whatever you have to do. And let's look at Genesis chapter 4 and let's give God our very best. I love you guys. Hope you have a great week, and let's roll.